This video walks through the hardware and basic drive configuration used in all of the sleep mode video tutorials. We have a reservoir feeding this centrifugal pump. The pump is driven by a 2-pole jet pump motor and a GS4 drive. The pump fills the tank. You can ignore all of this stuff, it's used in other video tutorials. Up here, we have an ultrasonic distance sensor that provides a 4 to 20 milliamp signal back to the GS4 drive. The sensor can be set up to provide either 20 milliamps down here or 4 milliamps down here. And that signal will be used differently by the various sleep modes. We can adjust the demand on the tank via this valve. This is my high-tech reservoir. As you can see, we spare no expense for you guys. Notice the check valve here, which prevents water from flowing backwards. The ultrasonic sensor is wired into analog input 1, and I wired some potentiometers into analog ports 2 and 3. You don't need those to do sleep mode. You'll see why I did it in just a minute. Now, before doing anything in each video, I reset the drive to factory default so you can follow along from a known configuration. These are the motor parameters required for this test setup. Of course, yours will probably be different. Since I'm using a 3600 RPM jet pump motor, I had to set the poles parameter to 2 before the drive would let me increase the RPM parameter. I love that the GS4 drive won't let me mess that up. I also set the ramps to some small values to help smooth out transitions and prevent overload faults when the motor's woken up and shut down. The remote frequency source is controlled by the analog input, and the local frequency source is controlled by the keypad in case we need to do some manual testing. Parameter 402 tells remote mode to use the ultrasonic sensor on analog input 1. The ultrasonic sensor is sending us 4 to 20 milliamps, so we set analog input 1 for current mode, and make sure the switch on the terminal board is also set to current. Analog input 2 is a potentiometer, so we need to set it for voltage and make sure its switch is set for voltage. Analog input 3 is also a potentiometer, but since it defaults to voltage, there's nothing to do for that one. The cool thing about connecting potentiometers to analog inputs is we can use them in GSoft 2's scope function to mark things like the sleep and wake levels. I also added a styrofoam float in the water tank with some LEDs on it to make it easier for you to see the water level rise and fall. The sleep mode parameters will be set differently in each video, so we won't go over those here. Well, that's it for the hardware setup. Check out the other videos in this series to see all of the different ways the GS4 drive can implement sleep mode. Click here to learn more about the GS4 drive. Click here to learn about Automation Direct's free award-winning support options, and click here to subscribe to Automation Direct's YouTube channel so you'll be notified when we publish new videos.